Hello and welcome to Unexplained Arkansas. This is Amber.
And this is Lisa.
Yep. Oh, we're still going. Yep.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, this is.
since we didn't get my way.
She wanted us to flip places, but I'm not sure my voice goes that high,
hmm
honestly. um.
Maybe.
Yes.
I'll
So
just be like,
hello.
this is Lisa.
Yeah. Yes. So hello, everyone, and
Hello.
welcome. Yes. Hello, Lisa. We are recording our 50th episode, the Big 50.
I should have I should have written my own song about it. I'll
Yeah.
think about it while you
Okay.
yeah.
So yeah, like I said, the big 50, the golden
Big,
anniversary.
big. It's a huge episode.
It is. We actually taped our first episode on December 17th, 2023.
Mm.
So we have not yet reached our official 1 year anniversary, but
Mm-mm.
we're getting there. So we'll have another big party when that happens.
Yeah. Whoop
Yeah.
whoop.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we're excited because we have worked hard to put out some engaging, fun, and spooky content for our listeners in Arkansas, and as we've seen out, or as we've, been told, outside of Arkansas. So there's
Yes.
people listening to us. I guess as far,
Everywhere.
yeah, yeah. But we have one member of our Patreon that's even from Canada, and that's super cool. And her name is
Canada.
Megs, and that's even cooler. I love that name.
And we
Yeah.
love Megs.
Yes. So we just kind of wanted to do something a little different for our 50th episode because, 50 is supposed to be special, and we wanted to involve everybody that has been part of this journey with us. And, we have a couple of different things we're going to do today. But for the most part, we are going to be engaging with our listeners, answering listener questions, and
Mhm.
reading listener stories. And then we have some big surprises for you at the end.
So it's all listener based. This whole episode is all
Yep.
about you guys and
Yes.
our appreciation. So this is an appreciation celebration.
It really is. So, this began, for those of you that maybe this is your first time to listen, this began as an idea to do something just really fun and different and kind of silly. And really, it began as a stress reliever for, us and our daily grind of, life, kids, work, life commitments, things like that. Life can be stressful. So, we both wanted to do something fun and creative. So, this podcast checked every single box. Now
And we
I have
kicked around a million
we
ideas.
did,
A
we
million
did.
ideas.
Yes,
So
I had toyed with the idea of producing a podcast for years, but never ever took the step. I wanted to do one on 90s pop culture, on 90s horror, on designing women, all those
I
things.
had I had told my sister that we would do a podcast and it was going to be about this is terrible. I'm going to say it though. It was going to be about butts and Bibles.
That's
I'm serious too.
interesting.
Butts and
Yes.
Bibles. Yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. So everyone asks us, how we got this far and,
Mhm.
what we did to get here. And I always say, well, we just put the best content out there. We listened to our people that, were listening to the podcast and, interacting on social media. And we made a lot of mistakes along the way, plenty
Mhm.
of mistakes. And,
We're
let
still
me
going to make some.
we
There's still time.
yes, yeah, there's still lots of time, but we are definitely not professionals. I have a background in journalism from high school and college, and then my 20s. But then after that, I became a teacher, and that's what I've done for a long time. And Lisa was in banking for a long time. So really, we're just two women who were raised in Arkansas who share a passion, a love for all things unexplained in our state.
And that's, yeah. So, yeah. And we'll get into all the awesome questions. So, which
Yes.
will
Yes.
maybe help to answer some things for some,
Yes.
some people. So yes.
Yeah.
So yay. Well, do we want to talk about we do want to stick to a little bit of the same format. So we do have two new Patreon members
Okay.
since we got rolling. So from the last episode. So that is awesome. We just always celebrate everyone, but definitely our Patreon. So we have a Debbie R, and I'm saying Debbie R because I'm pretty sure we've had Debbie. I don't want to get confused, but we have Debbie R and David B. So thank you guys so much for joining us on the Patreon. Like we always tell them, check out the Scary Heifers episode. And we're kind of going to mention something later in this episode that the Patreons will get first service at. So
Yeah.
if you guys want to join our Patreon nation, just go to our website and you can click that, or our Patreon pay. You just go to the Patreon, look for Unexplained Arkansas. So
Perfect.
there.
Yes. Yay.
Yes.
And we are glad
And
to
we'll
have
link
you.
those.
Yes, we're glad to have you on Patreon.
Yes.
Yay. I made a
Yay.
I made
Thank
a
you.
post today because I put makeup on. So there are some posts.
Normally you post for them without makeup.
I know that is true, but I had a bunch of makeup on today, so I was like, I may as well do a post. So I did. Yeah.
Amber's very good at posting for our Patreon, so yay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
So it's August right now when we're recording this,
Mhm.
and we are about to start a new school year. And we thought that this would be a good
And
time
we
to
did.
yeah, our kids started a couple days
You
ago.
start Monday.
I
Yeah.
start
Our
Monday. Yes, I do.
Mhm.
And we thought this would be a good time to take a little breather and then have all new content start coming out again in September. I'm
Yes.
a mom first and foremost, and a teacher second. So if you know those two things, you know that the daily struggles are real. So a lot of the time I meet myself coming and going. And, as we got to August, it got progressively busier. So that's why we decided to take a very, very short break. But
I'm giving you 2 weeks off.
yeah, she's giving me 2 weeks off. And I'm
Yes.
gonna take every bit of that 2 weeks. So
Yes. So
um
we won't have new episodes
no.
until the first week in September. So yes.
Yes, the end of that week.
Yes.
We're gonna be at the
And then they're going to
crescent.
be epic. Epic.
Yes. Okay,
Mhm.
so there was a time at the beginning of all this when we only had like 10 listeners, and those
Mhm.
that included my
Yeah.
mom, your
And
mother-in-law.
yeah.
Yeah, so
Mhm.
we really didn't
My
know
sister,
your
my
sister.
brother,
Yeah. We really didn't
mhm,
know what to expect.
Daryl.
Yeah, Daryl and Scott. Um,
Yeah.
we really didn't know what to expect when we pushed record for the first time on that day, December
Mhm.
17th. And still to this day, we have no idea where this podcast journey will take us. All we
Mhm.
know for sure is that in the last 9 months, you guys have given us more joy and happiness than we could ever hope to get out of a
Mhm.
podcast. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, we've made so many amazing friends around the state of Arkansas, and we
Mhm.
will be forever grateful for that. So,
Yes.
so having said that, we do want to shout out some of our
Some
originals.
OGs.
Yes, some of our
Mhm.
original listeners, our OGs. And I may be missing some, but I went through everything, tried to get everybody. Um, but here we
We
go. We'll
tried our
try.
best,
We
so if we
tried our
forget
best. Yes.
someone, we will
So,
we will give you a special shout out in the
yes.
next
If we
episode.
miss you, I'm so sorry. We will shout you out next time. But
Yes.
here are some of our OGs: Beth, Ashley and Julie, Michael, Corey and Marley, Matthew, Erica, Fran, Tambry, Katie, Cameron, Jamie, Todd, Kim, Shonda, Lori, Sean, Heath, Kip, Henry, and Jeff. And of course, all of our family and friends that have been
All of
so
our family.
supportive, right?
Mhm.
I want to shout
Yes.
out like our friends from high school, from college, my Alpha Sigma
Mhm.
Alpha sisters who have, I know, been listening and sending me, funny messages or whatever. And, some of my best friends, around Arkansas. I have one all the way in Portland that listens to us, and she's repping us in Portland right now. So that's pretty cool.
Ooh.
Yep.
And my brother-in-law repped us from Rome, so
Oh,
go check that
yeah.
out
That is
on our
awesome.
social media. Him and his girlfriend Tiffany. So Andrew and
Yeah.
Tiffany, big shout out for repping our t-shirts and wearing them in Rome. Wow, we
Yes.
were so
Yes.
pleased. Yay!
Yes, and then of course, ASUBB Library, Abington Library gave us like our first big break to go and talk and to, have our first little meet and greet. And of course, we're going back there in the fall. We'll be there. We'll be at HUBB
For
twice,
Crime Week.
actually. Yeah, we'll
Mhm.
be there for Crime Week, and then we will be telling the ghost stories for Halloween. We'll be part of their lecture concert series. So check that out. There's a brochure about the fall and spring lecture concert series, and they've got a lot of good stuff. Also, finally, we want to thank our wonderful husbands. Lisa and I have
Mhm.
both been married for a long time, not to each
Mhm.
other, but Lisa's
Feels
husband.
like it.
It feels like it. Lisa's husband's name is Daryl, and my husband's name is
Mm.
Scott. And we just want to thank them for their patience and
Yes.
wisdom. I
And
mean,
listening.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think Daryl listens more than Scott does. Scott, my husband, we've been married for, I forget, what was this last one? 18 years.
Mhm.
And, I mean, he's very supportive of whatever I do, whether it be getting my doctorate or, starting this business with Lisa. I mean, he's just always my number one fan and my most, just supportive person. He
Mhm.
is just definitely my person.
Yes. Me. Derry
Oh,
knows.
Scott's yours too?
Oh, no. Scott is my person. No. No, Derry knows what all he's done for us, and we're so appreciative. So we
Yes.
love him.
I'm
So
appreciative too, Daryl, very much so. He's a good guy. I always liked that Daryl. When you brought him
I
around when we were
know.
19, I was like, I like him. I think he's a nice little dude. Or
I know.
yeah, or maybe we were 20. Were we 19 or
We were
20?
20.
We were 20.
We were
Okay.
20.
Yeah. Thought it was around that
Yeah.
time. Yeah, I thought he
Yeah,
was
I
a
mean,
good person.
yeah, he's been a good one.
Yeah, his mama's sweet too. She's my favorite.
I know. And between her and your mom, like our very first comments on Spotify, our very first ratings
Yeah.
were coming from them and my sister Dee, and
Yeah,
we're thankful. Our family has really supported.
definitely.
So
Okay,
yes.
well, that's kind of the
Okay.
introduction. So
So
now I think
thank
Lisa has
you.
some questions, right?
Well, yes. So we did this past week. I'm sure if you're a listener or long time listener, you've been noticing. So we did post for people to have some questions for us to answer. So we're each gonna answer these questions. I'm gonna say who they're from. I'm gonna let Amber go first, and then I'll go behind her because we do have our own experiences with these questions. These are kind of personal. So and not TMI personal, but pod personal. So, anywho, so first question is from Debbie, and she says, "As kids, did you guys ever conduct seances?
Seances.
So, did you ever have a seance as a kid?"
Okay, so let me think.
Amber first.
All right, I'm thinking about, my best friends growing up, I had a very like tight group of girlfriends, that
Mm-hmm.
we had lots of slumber parties, went and saw lots of scary movies. We would always
Mm-hmm.
go to Hastings in Searcy, and of course there was that huge 49-cent movie section. And so we would just get as many as we could carry because we actually thought we were going to watch all those in one night. And
Love the 49-cent movies.
oh, me too.
Oh.
I miss that so much just to go back for one day. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so we would always do scary movies. Somebody's bra
Mm-hmm.
would get frozen. I mean, there was always some craziness happening. But I do remember
Mm-hmm.
vividly two things that I think might be in that category. And I do
Mm-hmm.
have to say this. We did miss an OG, and probably my favorite
Okay.
OG,
Oh,
Sherry. Yeah.
Sherry, yes,
Sherry
Sherry,
is our
and I was
she's our
thinking,
OG forever. I mean, she's our friend from high school,
yes,
and I cannot believe we forgot her on that list. She's gonna slap me when
and
she sees me.
and and I was you were longtime friends with her as a kid,
Yeah,
and I
she's
was
my
friends with her as a
childhood.
third grader. Yeah,
Yes, yes.
so
Sherry is my childhood
yeah,
best friend. I guess you could, Lisa
yes,
and I didn't really start hanging out until high school, but Sherry
hmm
is my childhood best friend. We know every horrible
hmm
thing about each other. And, yeah. So she was always at the slumber parties for the hijinks. So, yeah, okay. So,
she is
two,
always up for some
she,
hijinks.
she's just like, pick me up. Don't tell me,
Yep,
just pick me up.
just
Um,
pick me up.
but like, okay, so I remember one time vividly in like the sixth grade, we had just watched Candyman, I guess, and we
Oh
just
gosh,
did that movie on Scary Heifers. And I guess
uh-huh.
that wait, no, we didn't. We did that
No,
as
not
a
on Scary
vintage
Heifers.
movie, vintage
Vintage
movie.
maybe,
We
yes,
might do it as in Scary Heifers sometime, but
yeah,
we did it as our vintage movie, and part of the reason I chose that one is because of the nostalgia. It's a good movie,
Mhm.
but it's very
Yeah.
nostalgic because that was like in the early 90s, that was the slumber party movie pick, right?
Mhm.
That and Dr. Giggles. So we had just watched that movie.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Okay.
We had just watched that movie and
Uh-huh.
Sherry, we end up wanting to play Bloody Mary in the bathroom.
Oh.
Oh
Oh,
yeah,
goodness.
and we had another couple of girls there who shall remain nameless because Sherry knows we talk about her on here. She's cool with it.
Yeah,
But
she's fine.
anyway, so Sherry and this other girl are in there and they're scared to death. And I don't know if you remember this, Lisa, but in Granny's Den, because I lived with my grandparents, and
Mhm.
my mom did too. We both lived there. But remember how the light switch to the bathroom was on the outside, like in the
Yes.
den.
Mhm. Yes.
So I turned the lights out and put a chair under the doorknob.
Oh, that is so wrong.
Yes, and while they were in there
Amber.
well, they were freaking me out. They were trying to make scary noises in there to scare me, like they had been
Oh.
possessed or whatever. They
Oh
didn't even
gosh.
do the blame or anything, but they were just trying to scare me. So I wouldn't let them out, like, for 30 minutes. It
Oh
was
my
crazy.
goodness.
Okay, so there was that. And then I
Uh-huh.
remember we would play light as a feather, stiff as a board. Light as a
Uh-huh.
feather,
Yeah.
stiff as a board. Light as
Mhm.
a feather, stiff as a board. And to this day, I don't really understand
Did
like
anybody
why we did
levitate?
that, the concept of that. I just know that
Mhm. Well, it was
that was the
yeah,
thing in the 90s. Yeah,
yeah.
I remember,
I
like, the
remember that.
first time I ever played it, I was like, "What is this?" And, I don't wanna be the person in the middle, so if you don't
Yeah.
know what that is, you've never been to a 90s slumber party.
Yeah, Google. Yes.
Yeah, okay, so those are my
Well,
2 seance. Okay, so what about you?
those are yeah, so one I do remember, and I can't remember if it was I was friends with this person for a long time growing up. So, we would all hang out at her house. So, I'm not sure if it was like as early as elementary or middle school or junior high that we did this, but she had an actual Ouija board.
Oh my gosh.
Like a real one,
I don't think I
yes.
ever saw a real one till, like, college or something.
Oh yes, she had a Ouija board and yeah, all the things, because we would have the slumber parties every weekend, just like I remember with Sherry in third grade having the slumber parties like every weekend, just rotating,
Yeah.
where and so the slumber parties and definitely like horror movies, and we would watch those really old ones. Like there was a Slumber Party Massacre. I don't know if anyone remembers that one, but
I
that
do.
was
We watched that one
that was
too.
creepy. And then the hitcher. Anyway, so but yeah, she had a Ouija board and that was scary. I do remember we would get it out, we would play with it, but I'll have to say I was always scared to dive into a Ouija board situation. Did I participate? Yes. Now, and I'm going to tell a story on you, sister girl, because I'm pretty sure we were at our friend Corbett's house. So this would have been
Oh,
way
yeah. Yeah.
later.
That's when
And
we
I think
made
we
our
made
own. We made
we made
one.
a Ouija board. There was wax involved and it got stuck in his carpet. And I remember I totally threw you under the bus and was like, it was Amber.
Yeah, and that was very believable. Yeah. So
Well,
there was a
yes.
bunch of there was a bunch of kids. We'd all just graduated high
Yes.
school, so there was a bunch of kids over. It was a party, and we were a
It
bunch
was a
of
party house.
we were a bunch of nerds. So I mean, we were just sitting there, just all staring at this Ouija board, and
Mm,
one
I
of
think
our
we used like a
huh.
cup, like we drew it up and we used a cup,
Yeah,
right? Like a
something like
glass.
that. Yeah, but
Yes.
it freaked me
Yeah. And
out, and I
it
really
was
think,
freaky.
yeah, I think that was the same night we ended up going to that Mount Pisgah cemetery and
Oh, I'm
hearing something
sure.
rumbling in the bushes. That might have been that same night. I don't know. I don't know.
There's been a lot of cemetery nights, but
Yeah.
I can't say that I've had an official seance. We may have a different experience, in a couple weeks at the Crescent. So that's a different story.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, we'll see.
I've always been afraid of the whole Ouija. Watching
Me
The
too.
Exorcist too much, and demons.
Well, you and The
Ugh. Anyway,
Conjuring, yeah, you watch The Conjuring all the time.
yes, I love The Conjuring. So I
Well,
just
okay, so since you brought that up, here's my thought
okay,
on that. I'm more
okay,
afraid of like the demon side of things than I am
yeah,
ghosties and things, and so that's why I don't
mm,
partake
yeah,
in that kind of thing, like Ouija boards or tarot cards or any of that.
hmm
I don't do that, mostly because I am very afraid of that kind of stuff. Because
I
while I'm on the
am Amber. Dylan Bramlett. I'm going to
What?
use all your names. Do you not remember a few weeks ago at the Hornybrook Mansion?
Well, that was the first time I've done that in a long, long, long time.
Tell them
And it
now.
was
So we told them in that episode about the cards that we found. We found a weird
yeah,
deck of
but those
cards.
aren't tarot cards.
They weren't tarot, but you
Those
you were
were
playing a
like
little game with them,
yeah, I was like, "Okay, so if you're here,
and it had a
something,
creepy
something."
note in it.
And yeah, and it
Yes.
had a
You
creepy
well,
note
you
in it.
yeah.
So, yeah.
But I do
But it
agree with
was
the
but
whole
it
demon
was it
thing.
was
Yes.
silly, and I'd had a Chardonnay or 2. So, I mean, it was not it was all in jest and for fun. So, but thanks for throwing me under the bus like that.
I'm
But no
I'm
but
always
no
here
for
for you.
yeah, yeah. But no, for real, I just don't. I mean, I'm more scared of, like, demonology and all of that than I
Well,
am
yeah.
ghosts. I'm on the
Yes.
fence about ghosts, which maybe I shouldn't say that. That's bad for our brand. But I mean, I'm
No,
actively
I think we've
searching for
yeah.
proof of ghosts and spirits and things like that. I'm a searcher. I'm a seeker. I mean, that's what I
I
am, and I think
am.
that's part of the reason that I chose, to do this kind of thing. This, what we do, because I am a seeker. I want it to be true. I just have not found what I would consider proof beyond a reasonable shadow of a doubt. Now, demony stuff, I totally believe that because I believe there have been people that have been demon possessed that have,
Mhm.
yeah, I believe that's a thing. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I'll try not to throw you under any more buses, but I won't.
thanks. Okay, so
I
what's the
threw Fran
next?
under some too. So,
Okay.
okay. She'll be getting it. Okay, so Matthew asks, and I'll let you go first. There's a kind of just a little bit two parts, so you feel free to answer both. And I think we've kind of talked about the second question. But he asked, have we had any unexplained slash paranormal experiences when we were younger, or just in general? But and then also, what was our inspiration for starting the podcast, which kind of went into. So,
Yeah,
anywho.
yeah. Okay, I'm gonna take the first one first.
Mm-hmm.
My inspiration, I guess, is just because, I wanted to do something um different. I wanted to do something fun and with a subject that I really enjoyed reading about, listening to podcasts about, talking about, so that everything we do on here can be authentic. I mean, you can read from a script all day long, but if you really don't care for what you're talking about, it shows. And,
Mm-hmm.
we like this kind of stuff. We like the unexplained. So that's my
Yes.
answer to that one. And then what
The
was the
other
other
one
one?
was,
Have we
have you had
had?
an experience? Have you had an experience? I'm going to talk about
Um
mine because
okay.
I have.
Okay. All right. Well, I have not. My husband has had 2 growing up. Oh, well, actually, one
Hmm.
was growing up, and then
Hmm.
one was on our
On
honeymoon,
your
and
honeymoon.
it didn't
Hmm.
affect me. So, yeah. But I will tell you this,
Hmm.
like, I have weird dreams, like, all the time, and I have since I was a kid. I'm a very vivid dreamer, and,
Hmm.
sometimes I'll wake up in my room and I'll look around and I'll get, the
A little
chills
freaked
or the
out.
heebie-jeebies, whatever. Yeah. So, I mean, I've always been a very vivid dreamer. That has not changed throughout my life. And sometimes, it gets to the point where, I mean, I'll have nightmares for days and days in a row. But yeah, so as far as unexplained paranormal that I can just pinpoint, no, I
Hmm.
have not.
Gotcha. Okay. So I will answer. So inspiration part, and I'll just kind of go a little bit more into, like, so when we were kicking around, when we decided for sure to do the podcast, and we were coming up with name, and one of the things was like, we have to have our niche, we have to have our, like, what we love, and of course we're doing what we love, but we didn't want to be pigeonholed. Like, we really didn't want to have to just cover true crime or just do paranormal. And then of course, Amber loves the folklore and the superstitions, and then there's the whole monsters,
Okay, I'm kind of
bit.
on monsters and cryptids. I like it. I think they're
I
cool,
like
but I'm
I
not an
like it.
expert on that. I just like reading and
No,
researching and
we're
finding
not
things.
experts on
Yeah,
anything.
yeah.
But we did want to be open to just
I'm an
the
expert on cats.
unexplained.
I know a lot about cats, and I've had a lot of cats. I mean, if we're talking about, like, monsters and
That
cryptids,
is random.
yeah, cats. I think I
Well,
think cats are evil.
well, I'm gonna be a self-proclaimed expert on pizza. I love pizza. I've had a lot of pizza.
Well, I'm trying to get a second cat, and
Oh
I'm trying to
gosh.
get Scott to let me have a second
Please
cat,
no.
and he said
I'm
and
so allergic. Really? Like,
yeah, well, I
please
told him, I
don't.
said, "Well, Mabel needs a friend." He goes
No, she doesn't.
he said, "Amber, cats aren't friends. They hate each other."
I think they're cute, but I'm allergic. So, so inspiration was just a lot of crazy ideas just forming together, and we finally said we're going to do it. And I was like, you know what, Amber, we're going to do this. So, anywho, and we did it. Yes. So, in my experiences, yes, I did. I have had unexplained paranormal incidents is in my life. I had one as a teenager. It was at a friend's house. His house had a lot of haunted stories that I did know about, but me and another friend did have an experience there, and we couldn't explain it. A door opened. We thought it was someone like walking. It's like we heard this door open, we heard people walk in and there was no one there. And it wasn't, and we thought at first it was our friend, like Corbett just scaring us, and it wasn't. So that was unexplainable. And then also when we built a house a few years ago, and in the first year, a lot of strange things went on that like me and Daryl couldn't explain. There would be like voices in the upstairs, like our bonus room.
That's
There would
scary.
it was weird, and I never felt. I just never felt it was malicious, but it was very intriguing, and it was like I didn't want to believe it, but I was like, okay, I'm hearing voices.
And this was your new house.
It was brand new. Yeah,
Okay,
we
so
we
I've
had
gotta
it.
say what
We
I
built
said
it.
I have
Uh-huh.
to say what I said in the first recording.
Yes.
Did they move
Go
the
for it.
headstones, or did they just move the headstones? See, I'm gonna even mess up. Did they
Uh,
just move the
moved.
headstones? Did like Craig T.
Did
Nelson
that
and
happen?
Poltergeist? You left the
Yes.
bodies. You just moved the headstones. That would be my interpretation of what happened
Yeah.
in your old new house.
In
So
my old new house. Yeah. So
yeah,
it was just weird. I mean, it was like footsteps on stairs when, Elle was asleep and Daryl was out of town.
yeah.
It was
It
just some
does
weird.
sound
And
like a
then
poltergeist house.
it was weird. Just, and it was only the first year. We lived there for 7 years. 7 years. And so in that
Maybe
first year,
you
we had some
bored the
weird stuff.
ghosts and they left.
They're like, you guys are boring. So yeah, so feel like I have had some unexplained instances, and then inspiration. We definitely, wanted to do something together, creative, with and we had all these kinds of ideas, and we just did it. We were like, we're doing it, and we did it, and I'm so proud of us. I'm so proud of us because no one thought
Yeah.
we would. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that is true. We had a lot of
that
people
is
that
true.
thought, they'll
They're
have
not
fun
going to
for
do
a
this.
few weeks, but they,
Hmm.
they'll get tired of it. But no, this
Yeah.
has really stuck.
I know.
Okay.
It's fun.
So
Okay.
what's the
So
next question?
Denise G says, what made you interested in the unexplained, and how did y'all meet?
I had a really interesting upbringing. I lived with
Mm-hmm.
my grandparents, and at one point, it was my grandparents, my mom, and my aunt who was a teenager. My mom was, very young too, but not a teen. And we all
Mm-hmm.
lived together in my grandmother's house on a farm, and everybody was gone all day. They were at work or school or whatever, and I stayed with my great grandmother, who I called Nanny, and she was very superstitious, and she loved a good ghost story, and she was very intrigued by true crime. All of that stuff was completely, totally,
Mm-hmm.
her ballpark. That's what she wanted to talk about. In fact, her favorite song was The Knoxville Girl by the Wilburn Brothers. And no one has ever heard of them, but they are from Arkansas, from Hardy, I think. Hardy, not Harding, Hardy. And they wrote this song, The Knoxville Girl, about a murder. And my great grandmother used to just sing that song, like literally, putting everybody to bed, singing a murder song. Which, if you think
As
about it,
you should. I mean,
as you should. But she was really interested in all that. And then on top of all that, we did the Ruby Stapleton case. Well, my
mm,
grandmother, or my nanny, my great grandmother, was about Ruby's age, and they used the same laundromat. They
mm,
used the laundromat where Ruby was taken. My nanny
Uh,
was there regularly too, and I bet that's why she finally bought a washing machine, because after
mhm.
that, my aunt, my mom, and cousins were telling me she was scared to death to go back there.
Yeah.
But she was really, you know, really a folklore type person, superstition type person. And I think me staying with her during those very formative few years,
Mhm.
when I was little, may have planted the seed. And then my
Yeah.
mother was really into things. She was very much a church, still is very much a church person. She's there every time the
Mhm.
doors swing open. Um, but she loves a good graveyard venture, and she loves a good ghost story, and she loves to read.
Yeah.
And one of the most important things she did for me was take me to the library at 5 years old and get me my first library card. And I love to go there. And I remember in the summertime, they would drop me off there, and I would just browse the books for hours. Well, I really got into horror and true crime for a little bit, but I loved
Mhm.
when I was younger, like 10, 11, 12, I loved Fear Street, and I've read every single one of them. And that's why behind me over here, I have this vast collection of 90s Fear Street books. And then when I got older, I started reading V.C. Andrews, and those were a little saucy for 13-year-old me. But, I would venture out to read a little Stephen King, a little this, that, but those were my two mainstays. But then, I think that all of that kind of built me up as a very creative, type-minded person. So, yeah. So there you go. That's my
So
that's my inspiration. Okay, so how did we meet? All right, so my interpretation of how we met is probably going to be different than Lisa's interpretation.
mm,
Um, for me, okay, so this is kind of how I see it. I met her in the third grade. I remember she was in this group of little popular girls, and I was an outlier. I detested anything that was like the normal flow of things, and I didn't want to be in what I thought was the little prissy girl group or whatever. I was more of an outlier and more of a just rebel, I guess, a rebel without a cause, and in the third grade.
yeah.
So yeah, so I remember seeing Lisa but never talking to her.
Mm,
And then let's see, we met, actually started hanging out our junior year of high school. And I remember I had developed a friendship with her best bud, Courtney,
mhm,
during the fall, because I was working at a radio station. And at the time, I was putting together this major concert thing for all the teens in White County. And Courtney was on my little board. We had a little committee of people, of teenagers that helped me. Um, and and so we drove around all of White County and put posters up in every single gas station, and just kind of built a really good friendship. And then, like, right
mhm.
after that, she's like, "You need to meet my friend Lisa. You will love her, and I think she'll really like you." And so I remember very vividly going to a Burger King, the Burger King at Searcy,
The
and
Burger King.
meeting Lisa there at the Burger King. And the rest is history.
Yeah. Yeah, that is different because I don't remember being in a popular crew. I just know that all of us girls were in the same homeroom. So that's what I
Well, we
remember.
that's what we
We
said
had
behind your backs.
whatever. Yeah. We were we all had Miss Barton in 3rd grade. That's what I remember. But anyway, so no, I don't remember 3rd grade much, but or the Burger King. But I will say yeah, my best friend Courtney was hanging out with this chick from a newspaper, and she's like, "Hey, I've got this." And she kept talking about you, and so I finally got to meet you, and yeah, we clicked. You were fun, and
Yeah, we
like
clicked. That is
we clicked right
100%
away.
true. We clicked right
Yeah.
away.
Yeah, like you were fun and quirky, and I like fun and quirky. So
Yeah.
and you were into cemeteries, and yeah, so you fit right in with the crew.
Yeah.
So we had a good time. So yeah, so that's how we met. Really junior year started hanging out.
Yes.
So in my interest in the so I'll just finish that because we concede on how we met. So interest in the unexplained came super early, and now that I've gotten to answer this twice actually, so I feel like I had older siblings, and you know how older siblings are gonna like you just you get to hear about like, the scary stuff. They try to scare you. They're watching like the horror movies. And we grew up in that time where I just remember like, some of my friends and some of their older siblings or whatever, they were watching Friday the 13th and stuff. So,
Oh, yeah. And
yes.
she
And
was, like,
so
right at the age when it was new, and she was a teenager,
yeah, like
Yeah.
yeah, so older siblings definitely with like the horror movie stuff, but I've always been interested in the unexplained, anything that just you just ghost and the Bigfoot, like any of it. Like, yeah, I've always been into it. And my mother was not. Like that was so I didn't get it from my mother. I would and I didn't get to know, my grandparents died really young, so I don't know. I guess it would have been, I don't know, like siblings and other people and just the rockin' 80s.
Well, you've said it on the podcast before. Your grandmother read tarot, didn't she?
Well, yes. So I am, and people may not know this, but so I'm like 50% Italian. My dad is like full Italian, and my grandmother evidently was very, and I don't remember a lot because I was very young, and my mom kept me, away from her just because of she read tarot. She would put like curses on people. Um,
Like, okay, so are we talking like,
yes.
okay,
She
alright.
would curse you. If you made her mad, she would curse you. And I think I can remember a little bit of a story that my mom was like, yeah, she would call and be like, I'm gonna put a curse on you that Ajax can't remove. And I'm like, oh.
Wow. That's
So
serious.
it's very serious.
Ajax gets out anything.
I evidently except this curse. So
Yeah.
so there I guess that Italian side of things. But yeah, there's a lot of interesting background there. So yeah. But my mom hated scary stuff, and I will say my Aunt Lou loved it. My Aunt Lou is a Halloween baby, and she loves Halloween. It's her birthday,
Yeah. Yeah.
So but I've always loved Halloween. I've loved scary movies, and of course, avid reader. I read everything and anything, and always have. So I've always explored true crime, always the JFK stuff. I studied that even
Oh,
as a
yeah.
teen. Oh my
Yes.
goodness, that was so intriguing, and I really thought I'd go into the FBI. I really thought that. Definitely law, crime, all of it is
Well,
of
you could keep a
interest.
secret
So,
better than I could, so
yeah.
yeah.
So anywho, so that answers that. But yeah, definitely we both love the unexplained. So Tanya had a question for us. So have we done an episode or are we thinking of doing one on the Gowrow, Gravity Hill, or the Ozark Howler?
Um, yes, we are thinking about it,
Thinking about it.
but we have not done those 3 particular things. I know that other
Yes.
podcasters have done Gowrow and
Mm-hmm.
the Ozark Howler. I don't know anything
Mm-hmm.
about Gravity Hill, though, and that sounds interesting because I like that cartoon Gravity
Uh-huh.
Falls. Lisa's like, "Oh my gosh." But I do because I have 3 wild boys, and
Uh-huh.
one of them, the middle one,
Uh-huh.
my Lord of the Rings child, he he loved Gravity Falls there for a minute and had the books and all the
Mm.
stuff.
I love his love of the Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
Yeah, and
One ring
I
shall lead them all.
shall
Sorry.
lead them. I definitely think we will definitely cover these items for sure, and there's such a growing list. And yeah, I don't know much about any of it, so it's definitely on the list, and I'm just ever amazed at how big our list is. And I tell people all the time, I'm like, I'm putting it on the list, and I mean it. I'm putting it on the list, and I screenshot everything into my pictures, like if
Right.
anyone messages us or anything. So I'm like, it's on the list for future
Well, let me
episodes.
let me piggyback on that. I don't mean to interrupt you, but
Oh yeah.
when we send you an email back or we say something on Facebook Messenger or whatever and say, "Hey, we'll put it in our stuff in our
Mm-hmm.
files." We do that.
Mm-hmm.
We just may not get to it for a few weeks or a couple of months, all the things.
Or years. No, it's It's on the list.
Yeah.
Because there's only yeah, it's amazing because in fact, we already have most of September planned. So it's just interesting how these things come up. You know what I'm saying? So,
Right.
so anyway,
Well, we do have we have September planned. We are going
except
to
for
plan.
one episode at least. We
Okay.
need one. But anyway, yeah,
Okay.
September is almost all planned, and it's crazy how that happens.
Yeah.
So,
Well, we need to
mhm,
kind of sit down and talk about October. And then after
mhm,
that, there are some things that I really want to look
mhm,
at, and some things that I really want to venture into that I don't think anyone has talked about on podcasts
mhm.
or YouTube before. So
Good.
those are the kinds of stories I'm looking for. Also, I want to find stories from states or parts of the state we haven't been to yet.
Mhm. And we do try to mix up because we do cover everything, if we've done some murder, per se, then we try to mix it up with something else. So,
Yes, because
especially
that gets
wears
taxing.
on us. It
Mhm.
does. That
It
that
does.
that
We
one
start to
weighs.
fight, and that's true.
It just
When we get stressed out, we start to bicker, and we can
uh,
feel it. We've known each other long enough. We can feel when we start to simmer, and it's like, okay, we need to,
mhm.
yeah.
It's
And it's
just
usually when we have some true crime stuff going on.
yeah, and
So
emotionally, it's just emotionally draining to hear about
yeah.
murder. It's sad. So it's
Maybe we
just
need a what's a like what is a reality show where they could see like the other side of us preparing
beh
this stuff.
the behind the
'Cause that's
scenes.
more interesting, yes. Okay, so what's the next
Okay.
question?
Okay, so next question. So thank you, Tanya, and thank you, Denise and Matthew. I'm
Thank
trying to
you.
make sure because we are anywho recording issues. Okay, so Peyton B asks, which has been our favorite episode to research so far, and what do we look forward to most that we haven't covered yet? So
What do we look for most that we haven't covered?
well,
Um,
it says, sorry, what do you look forward to the most that you haven't like what are we looking forward to that we haven't discussed? That's what she
okay, so
means.
I'll take that far.
What?
I'm gonna pee myself. Okay, write that number down. I
Okay.
said fart.
I didn't
Yeah, I
really hear it,
shouldn't
but that's funny.
I shouldn't have
Okay,
had
I'm
that
writing
last
this
one.
down.
Please write
One,
it down.
two.
I'm not
I
saying
am.
fart on national podcast radio. Okay.
Okay.
Um, okay. Can't stop laughing. Okay. So, all right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So, which has been my favorite episode? I go back and forth, and we do answer that question quite a bit when we go on like meet and greet sessions. And we did a presentation at the Historical Society, and we answered that question. And so, I'm probably going to answer it completely differently. I think I probably said Ruby Stapleton then, but I will
Mm,
say that, you know, now that we're on the downhill of all the summer craziness, I
mhm.
will say that at the Satan's butt crack. What was it we called Devil's
The
butt crack?
the Hell's
Um,
Half Acre.
Hell's Half Acre. The Hell's Half Acre episode
Mhm,
was my favorite, not just because I got to say Devil's butt crack for a week straight, but
mhm.
because I put a lot of work into that, and that was not an easy one to do. We really tried to find it, and we almost killed our 40-year-old selves trying to haul it
Yeah.
up a mountain to find this big old pile of rocks.
Mhm.
And I mean, it was a lot of work, but at the same time, I was like, yeah, we are 100% doing this, and I think that is my favorite thing is to go to the places even though we might not have to go, we like to
Yeah.
go.
We like
Like,
to.
yeah, like I took a detour through Falk on our way to Dallas. And then on the way back, we took a detour through Texarkana to visit the memorial for one of the victims of the Phantom Killer. We like to be in the places we talk about because I think it gives it
Mhm.
more depth. Okay,
Yeah.
so what do I look forward to doing? I want to cover some stories in parts of Arkansas that we haven't been to yet. And we have a little map behind me here, and I try to keep it updated. And there's lots of areas that we have yet to cover. I mean, it's a big state. There's lots of
Mhm.
stories, and I want to go somewhere different, and talk about something that hasn't really been on a podcast yet or been on a YouTube video.
Mhm.
That's my answer.
Yeah. Okay, so and I didn't get this far before, so we were cut off on this far for me. Okay, so this is fresh. So my favorite episode to
I'm
research,
like the devil's butt crack.
the devil's playground. Oh my goodness. Okay, so okay, so
That
I
would probably be funnier off air.
oh gosh. Are you okay?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so my favorite episode to research so far, and there have been so many, and I have to say it's probably a tie between Maud Crawford, loved that, and Janie Ward. So both of those situations are, sad, had to deal with, women, and such. And anyway, it was very sad. So, and I had case files and then a whole lot of information on each one. So that was the most interesting to research, because I do really enjoy diving in. I dive deep. I like to go as deep as possible. So yeah, so both of those were my favorite. And then I'm looking forward to. So we are covering the Crescent, but which I am really looking forward to. Everyone names it as one of the most haunted places, and so I'm excited that that's coming up, and we are going to stay there. And I'm really looking forward to just me and Amber having, like, that personal experience there. But I am also looking forward to. So I am a part of the Justice for Jared, and that's Jared Green, and he has a case, and he is a missing person, and it's very personal to me, and I am covering it. His, like, the 30th anniversary of him being missing is September 30th. So we will be doing these episodes on Jared, and I am looking forward to that because it's been on the radar since we started this thing, and I really wanted, it was important to me to wait until we had a good listener base. So anywho, so I'm very excited about that. And that answers that. And the devil's butthole. Okay, so okay, so Katie D asks, okay, what has been the biggest surprise about the podcasting journey? And do y'all have any personal paranormal stories? Which we did answer. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
so we'll answer about the biggest surprise about the podcasting journey. You go first, Amby.
Okay.
Biggest surprise.
So I guess the biggest surprise to me would actually just be how many listeners we've had, and
Mm-hmm.
how big it's gotten, you know, in a very short period of time. And
Yes.
I don't think I was ready for that. And I'm a very I'm the most extroverted introvert you will ever meet.
Mm-hmm.
When you
Yeah.
get to know me, I'm very extroverted, and I teach and I speak for a
Yeah.
living. And before I taught, I did public relations and journalism, but I was good at it, so that's why I did it. But it's not necessarily something I enjoy. So when I'm home, I like to not talk. And and when I see people in Walmart, I tend to run. And Lisa's like the opposite of that. So I guess the biggest surprise with the podcasting journey was the amount of, I guess, notoriety would be the right
Mm-hmm.
word, that I've gotten because of it. And I've had to come out of my comfort zone and actually talk to people, and
Mm-hmm.
not have, what do you call it, Lisa, prison hair when I go when I go to
Prison
the
hair.
neighborhood market to get my
Yes.
groceries.
Yeah, because you like to wear the shirt, so that kind
Well,
of
I don't anymore. I don't really wear it
yeah,
out anymore because somebody will stop me
yeah,
and say something, and I'm just
yeah.
not ready for that exchange. No, I'm kidding. I'm
Especially if you have
better.
your prison hair on. So it has been surprising for you, Yeah, you're dealing with it greatly for being an introvert.
Yeah, yeah,
Extra introvert.
yes, and I
um
think I've gotten more so as I got older.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's probably right. So my biggest surprise is, I mean, it's definitely similar. I think my biggest surprise is that we're here, that we're at number 50. It's the whole journey has been a surprise, and I'm just I feel like this is fun. This is fun and I love it and I'm thankful and we're just having it. Every episode is just so much fun to do, and to research and going on these places. And I have been surprised. We have been invited to places, like people invite us to go places and talk
Yeah.
to them, and they want to hear us. And we've got a lot of things coming up to tell you guys about. But yeah, I'm just thankful, grateful, and excited. So it's been a huge surprise on that. So, oh, and Ashley and Julie's shirts at
Yes,
our
I
meet and
loved
greet.
those.
That was
Yes.
a huge surprise.
Yes, and the theme song from Jeff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
those were 2 very
Shirts,
amazing favorite
theme
moments for
songs.
me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just it's like wow.
Yeah.
So yay. So Kim, the last question, and then we'll get into our listener stories. Okay. So
Okay.
Kim L, who is she is she's just all of our people are precious, our little ladies, but Kim just cracks me up. And I got to see her last night and sit beside her, so I love her. Okay, so what has been your favorite episode so far? And if you could investigate any unsolved case in any state, what would it be? So we answered about the research, which could be the same. So about favorite episodes. So what do you think? You want to answer about the if we wanted
The
to
any
investigate?
case?
Yeah. Any
Um,
case in any state, what would it be?
okay, so oh gosh, I don't know, maybe the Black Dahlia murder. By the way, the movie
Mm.
was horrible that came out
Oh,
about that. But I
I
do
don't
love
yeah.
what? Did
I
you
guess
like it?
I didn't feel like it was horrible,
Oh,
but
I
I
didn't like it
didn't
at all.
yeah,
I thought it did not do it justice. But yeah, I
justice.
would like to um yeah, I would love to see
The
more
Black
about
Dahlia.
that, of
That's a
course.
good one.
Yeah, so let's see. I don't know. I mean, maybe John Benet Ramsey. I mean, because that was a huge case
Mm.
when we were teenagers.
Mhm.
That like took over the news for a
Mhm.
very, very long time. And
Yes.
I was
And I
very
have a lot
interested
of
in
thoughts
that.
on that one.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I do too. I do too. We'll have to
I think
share them
we
after the show.
yeah.
And
Yes.
then like the Scott Peterson case is solved, but that's another one that
Mhm.
I knew every detail about that. So, I watched that new Netflix show about it.
Mhm.
Um Also, oh gosh, there's so many. The
Mhm.
Idaho murders. I think that one was what really brought me back to true
Mhm.
crime because I was
The
so
Idaho.
shocked. Yeah. I
Mhm.
I was so shocked and I was just so sick to my stomach that that happened
Happened.
and somebody was able to get away with it for as long as they did. And now looking back, I mean, we can't really say anything yet because the
Sure.
trial hasn't
Mhm.
happened, and I will be watching
Mhm.
that. Let me tell you. But I mean, you can ask all the people I worked with. I mean, I talked about that for weeks and weeks and weeks. And our friend Tambry suggested a book to read with that. So I have that on my Audible that I'm going to start reading soon about it. Somebody wrote a really good book about the case so far. So yeah, yeah. I
Mhm.
guess if I could get like a no holds bar look at everything, it would be something along one of those mysteries.
One of those.
Yeah.
Yeah. All of those are good. Yes. I like all of those. But I have to say unsolved, I'll go way back and then kind of recent. So I would love to like go over to London and get to dive into everything related to Jack the Ripper. And I
I
do.
knew you were going to
I've
say
read
that.
it's my favorite all-time unsolved case, I would say. Um just it's just so many layers, and I love Patricia Cornwell's take on it, like her suspect being Walter Seeker, the artist. I love that. So I would love to be able to dive into that. I would love that so much. And then a newer one that I would love to dive into because I mean the Idaho definitely that was interesting, but the what are they calling it? The
Yeah.
Gilgo Beach. Yes. The
Yeah. Go Beach.
yes. Yes. That's one that I would really love to explore. That really interests me because it's been so long in the making, and that they're finally like getting getting some, getting down to it now. So that one would be really cool to dive into. So,
Speaking of Go-Go Beach, did you
mhm.
watch the Dallas flight attendant murder
Yes,
documentary? That one
yes,
was crazy too.
that
I
was
mean,
crazy.
yeah,
It was
that
very
one was
interesting.
crazy too. So, I
Hmm.
mean, just I can't believe some of these mysteries have been going on for so
Hmm.
long. I
Or
mean,
even
yeah.
just the me and Daryl love to watch stuff. This isn't like really murder, but the DB Cooper stuff
Yeah.
that intrigues me so much.
Yeah.
There's so many things that someday, it's like, oh, I want to know. I want to know. So anyway, so
Mhm.
thank you. So thank you, thank you guys for all these questions. That was our last question, and we just appreciate you guys so much for even wanting to know things about us, getting to know you.
Oh
Sorry,
god.
I had to.
All
Okay,
right, so
was
now
that
what?
awful? Okay,
That was awful. Okay, so
okay.
now what?
So now we're going to dive into our listener stories.
Dun dun dun.
Dun
And if
dun
I knew
dun.
how to better
So,
operate our Riverside stuff, I would
mhm.
put music right now. But we
Okay.
don't.
But that's
But we
okay.
don't. Yeah,
We're
we
gonna
don't
get
have
there.
any.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think I was gonna start because I do have three, but Amber has two and hers are longer. So we're gonna kind of go back and forth with that. And so
Yes.
these stories do, obviously come from, our listeners. So these were submitted by listeners and they did okay for us to do this. So we're
Yes.
gonna dive right in. So our first story is from Heidi. Okay.
Heidi.
So she had reached out. I believe this was on the Facebook, but in regards to our episode 49, the Arlington Hotel. So she said, and this is from Heidi, we definitely had a haunted room.
Ooh.
I know I am sensitive to spirits. There was a spirit, an evil spirit in our room that night. I thought I was going to die. It was above and at, like, above me in the bed. Like she
Ew,
felt the
like the broke
presence.
neck lady kind of
Oh
thing?
gosh.
Or bent neck lady.
Bent
What
neck
was that?
lady.
I don't know, but that's what I always
I
think
think
of.
that's right. Oh,
Yeah,
like
that gives me
chills.
chills. That scene, oh my gosh, awful. Ooh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so it was above me in my bed. We had requested a king bed, but they mistakenly gave us a room with two beds.
Been
I
there, done
jumped.
that.
It sounds great. I one time they gave us a king bed, and I requested two for me and you. That's
Ah,
okay. I jumped out of my bed and into my husband's bed, like between him and the wall. I didn't feel it anymore after that. Our bathroom door also opened and closed, but not fully, over and over. Mm.
yeah, that's
I
creepy.
yes, I
I feel
left
like
the
I should
bathroom.
have some sound effects right
Um,
now.
ooh, maybe
Yeah.
just go.
No, I was gonna do like a
Ooh.
creak, like a door creak or
Oh
something.
gosh, that's cool. Okay, I left the bathroom light with the door cracked open so I could find my way to the bathroom during the night. The door moving happened after the evil spirit was at my bed. Ooh.
Ew.
After I finally fell asleep, my husband awoke and the bathroom door was opening. Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
so the next day, so we tested the door the next day and it did not move on its own. We were there for an Arkansas Fair Manager convention, and this was in January of 2008 or 2009. So this has been a minute. There is a picture that I'll post. So Heidi had a photographer look at this picture, and I will post it once
Oh
this
yeah, I
episode
want to
is
see
uploaded.
this.
Yeah, it's really creepy. And they had someone, like a photographer, look at the picture, and they all said that there was nothing reflective or light that should have done that to the photo. So they didn't see how. And she said when she was taking the photo, she did not see the tiny head or neck with her own eyes. I guess there's like a, oh, you'll just have to see the photo. She did not see this with her own eyes when she took the photo, so it showed up after they were looking at the pictures.
Oh, yeah.
So just a real freaky. So definitely some activity for them at the Arlington, and then that picture. So I'll post that
Cool.
whenever we upload this. So yeah, from Heidi. Thank you, Heidi.
Wow.
Scary. So the Arlington. Okay. Amber.
Okay.
Scary.
So this one is from Sean, and he is
Mm-hmm.
from Camden. Okay.
Oh,
So this, here we go. Here we go. All right.
okay.
Sorry. That was my chair, by the way. That was squeaking.
I
All right.
think we've been here in another episode. You're like, this was just my chair,
It's
guys.
just my chair. Okay. All right. So from Sean.
Mhm.
I believe Camden, Arkansas has to be one of the most haunted areas of Arkansas. I
Mm,
grew up in that area up until the time I was 17. I think part of the reason for this haunted activity might be because of the Civil War events that happened there, amongst other things, which brought with it a negative energy. As you
mm,
drive into Camden from Highway 7 along the Washita River, you can see how creepy the road into this place is, even in the daylight. I lived in an incredibly haunted house in Camden. I'll do my best to articulate our brief stay in this house. Ooh,
mm.
wow. I'd love to see the front of like this house.
Mhm.
Okay. So after my parents' divorce, my mom, my sister, and my youngest brother moved into an antebellum house at blah 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 near downtown Camden. We're not going to give the address.
Mhm.
It was July 1986. Oh, that's a good year. It was a typical South Arkansas hot summer. He's a good writer. I have to say, as a
Mhm.
teacher, good job, Sean.
Good job,
Um,
Sean.
yes. At the time, it had no working central heat and air, and the
Ugh.
paint was flaking off of the outside. Right there, Lisa would be a no.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
forget how many rooms it had, but let's just say there were quite a few. We weren't rich by any means, but we should have known something was up because the rent was only 400 a month. In
Mm.
1986, that's still kind of low for that much house, right?
Yeah.
So our house was gorgeous. It had ornamental wood throughout, an incredible state of the art kitchen, and a wraparound porch. It does sound
Mm.
fabulous. It
Mhm.
sat next door to an empty funeral home.
Oh.
It's like, oh, it was so beautiful. It looks like something from Southern Living. Then it's next to an old funeral home.
Okay.
Okay, he said that was a bit creepy.
Mm.
Okay, it says note, I am attaching an image diagram of this house. I love it that they send us the evidence. So
Mhm. I
that's
love
my
it.
favorite. Yeah. Since I was the oldest, I chose the upstairs bedroom with an attic access. It was the front left of the house. My sister chose the room directly behind mine. My
Mm.
youngest brother chose the room across the hall from mine. Behind it was the upstairs bathroom. My mother and her boyfriend chose one of the bedrooms downstairs. Like this kind of sounds like we're
Mhm.
building up to the conjuring
I
here.
know. Like
Okay, so the paranormal activity started pretty much right away. It started slowly, but eventually would end with quite the crescendo. My brother's room, despite not having air conditioning, was frigid. Now that's
Oh,
freaky. Yeah,
that is
it
freaky.
was so cold that he moved into a downstairs bedroom the next day after we moved into the house. This itself was odd. It always felt like we were being watched in this house. Ooh, have you seen that
Ooh.
Netflix show? Okay, well, we won't
Yes.
like bird walk into that. Okay,
Mhm.
so most of the events happened one night after my mother and her best friend decided to have a séance in my brother's
Uh-oh.
frigid former bedroom. I was forced to take notes.
That's
That
awesome.
is something I would have my kids do.
You would. You'd be like,
Sit
"Ryan,
there and
take
take
notes."
notes. Okay, so during the I'm sorry. Okay. During the seance, my mom and her friend used a Ouija board to ask
Oh.
questions to whatever was lurking in our house. They
Mhm.
asked the name of the entity in the house. I watched the Ouija board thingy, he says thingy, spell out AMY, Amy. Amy.
Oh.
They asked Amy how old she was when she died. She replied, 5 years old. She said she fell in the well, which was outside just below the window of the cold room. At this point, I couldn't take
Mm.
any more, so I rushed out of there. My mom and her friend continued their seance for about an hour. Later, my mother questioned the real estate agent about deaths in the house. They told her a young girl named Amy fell in the well at the turn of the century. This is why the
Oh my
well was sealed.
goodness.
Oh my gosh, I'm so scared right now.
Wow.
Okay. All right. So from this point on, I will merely highlight events that happened in this house without much of the storytelling aspect. From the point of the séance onward, numerous events would take place over the course of our 1 year stay at this creepy house. Many more events happened than what I am highlighting. Event number 1. My sister saw a face in the ceiling, molded into the tiles, looking at her in the bathtub. Okay, so event number 2, my buddy Rusty dreamed there was a secret room in the upstairs bathroom. We never
Mm.
used this bathroom because it gave us the creepy vibes. The next day, we spent an hour pushing and pulling on panels until we actually did find the secret room. Oh my gosh, so there really was one? Okay, this is
Oh,
so creepy. We need to go visit this house.
yeah.
Um, we want to go to Camden anyway. We may as well.
Yes, yes.
It was large enough to hold probably about 10 to 15 people. We figured this was used maybe for the Underground Railroad to usher slaves to freedom. And that
Mhm.
that could be possible.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, so event number 3. We had a huge gray Great Dane named Conan. He had a kennel that was embedded in a cement slab and was covered all the way around and on the top. We would padlock him in it whenever we would eat dinner because he had a tendency to help himself to whatever was on our plates. One afternoon, we had done just that as we sat down for dinner in the living room. Not more than 10 minutes into our dinner, Conan comes waltzing downstairs. We looked at each other in disbelief. My mom accused me of not locking him in his kennel properly. Upon closer inspection, the padlock was still locked securely, and there were no holes or places he could have squeezed out. Good
Mm.
Lord. Um,
My.
how would he have gotten out then to come upstairs? This freaked us out. It was at that point that we started making our plan to move. Event number 4. I dreamed about a Jesus statue. In the dream, the statue was hidden in a crawl space behind the front steps. Sure enough, I looked and found a 4-foot concrete Jesus statue. It was covered in mud and obviously very old.
Oh,
Yeah. Okay. So
wow.
later events. Near our time to move, it was as if the house wanted us gone. Furniture would scoot across the floor. Okay. So now we're getting
Oh,
into the
ultra.
poltergeist, Craig T. Nelson stuff here.
Mhm.
Objects would fall off the shelves inexplicably. It was the last day of our stay that would really creep us out. All of the furniture, aside from beds, were placed in the foyers, upstairs, and down. All night long, furniture would scratch across the floors. I didn't
Oh.
sleep. We would wake up to everything being in a huge, unorganized pile, unlike we put it there. The creepiest thing of all was this: the well, which had been sealed with concrete for decades, had
Mhm.
cracked
Oh
open.
my goodness.
Yes. I'm not sure what my mom and her friend unleashed on the night of their seance, but it was dismal and bleak. You
Mm,
could feel the darkness. We never looked back after leaving that house. And then he puts
mm.
a little thing right here. This story is 100% true. Weirder stuff happened during our stay, but I wanted to tell you the more believable events that occurred.
Oh my.
Dang.
I in
I
the weird
love
okay, so
that.
I do too, and so all of the messages that we get are typically, we both have access or whatever, and I will say, even though I had read this a while back, this still scares me, like, I
Oh,
because
do
I
you
had
like my
forgotten a lot.
interpretation of it?
I
Is it
love
like
it,
is
I
it
love
like Vincent what was that when he did the interpretation, Vincent Price of,
it.
The Raven? No, I'm kidding.
The Raven.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very good, thank you. But yeah, that is creepy, and we
Oh, yeah, I think
definitely
this is one of the best ones we've ever done.
yeah, you'll have to send me, that so we can post all the pictures because I do have another, picture that was sent for I think it was my 3rd story, so I will
He
dive into
actually no, I'm looking back at the email right now.
oh,
He sent a picture of
he
the
sent a picture
house,
too?
so I'm
Okay, good.
looking at it.
Okay, good.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh,
I
and
thought
it is
I
creepy.
Yeah, we'll post these pictures, so and things sent all together with the episode. So,
Well, that was
oh my
sweet.
goodness.
That was
Yeah, that was
absolutely
good.
sweet. Okay, go ahead, please.
Okay.
Top that. I'm like Teen Witch. Remember that stupid song on Teen Witch? Top that. Top that, Lisa.
I don't
See,
I
that's why I
don't
wanted to end with mine because
I
that was like
it's a
that was
good
a
one.
zinger.
It's a zinger. Well, this story is from Brian. So Brian did have several items that he had sent, and so this is several, but there will be more in future listener stories and such. So Brian's experience happened when he was a kid living actually in Clementon, New Jersey, in a home built in 1930. So he
Oh,
gives
nice.
Yes, he does give a concise list of items that happened in the home. Okay, so here we go. So, my grandmother heard heavy breathing in my mom's bedroom. My brother, my brother saw a figure in the bathroom. I heard footsteps upstairs walking around late at night when there was no one up there. I was afraid to leave my bed, but I had to make my way through the dark to the nearest light and quickly to the bathroom. When my uncle stayed with us in the upstairs bedroom, he felt something cold touch him. It gave him a very creepy feeling. He started bringing our dogs up there to stay with him, but but at midnight, they would whimper and scratch at the door like they were afraid and wanted to get out. A friend of my mother's son and his little brother were in an accident. The older brother thought it would be fun, and this is sad. So, to tie their sleds to the back of the dad's pickup truck after a winter snowstorm. The father didn't know, and the younger brother, who was 5, was hit by oncoming traffic. Isn't that horrific?
That is awful.
Oh my goodness. My mother and grandmother were sitting in the kitchen drinking their coffee when there came 3 knocks on the basement door in the kitchen. But when my mother checked it out, there was no one there. Suddenly, the phone rang and it was the boy's mother. She told my mother on the phone that the 5-year-old had just died and that his last words he kept repeating is that he wanted to come to our house to see my mom. Is that
Oh, that is
uh,
so awful.
that's
Oh.
so that's so awful and so freaky. Another one of my mother's friends was to wait at our house because they were it says they were moving to Franklinville. When we got back, she was sitting outside on the steps crying. She told my mom that she started to hear men talking upstairs. She left saying she'd never return to the house again. So I guess she was there when no one else was home. My mother, my paternal cousin, his mother were sitting in the living room watching Mary Hartman. I don't know the show.
I'm sorry, but
Do you know
that's not what I was expecting, but oh my
Okay,
gosh, that's an old show.
an old one.
Oh my god, it's a good
Yeah,
one
I don't.
though. Yeah,
Yeah, I
you
don't.
can't hardly find Mary Hartman anywhere. Anyway,
Oh,
go
I
ahead,
don't.
sorry, my mind just kinda yeah,
Okay, are
mine
you
went
okay?
to a different place.
Okay.
Went to the '70s. Okay, I'm back. Anyway.
Okay, so they were in the living room watching Mary Hartman, and the television went silent, and both heard a baby crying from the fireplace.
Okay, that's
Ugh.
creepy.
I remember hearing the phone flying across the room like it was thrown. Yeah. My mother's longtime boyfriend saw an old woman in the bedroom. Ew. So all of these are separate incidences in the same home, okay?
Yeah.
So
Sounds like
he
another conjuring house. Dude, seriously,
Yes.
how many conjuring
I
houses do we
mean,
have in Arkansas?
I don't know. This one's in New Jersey.
Oh, wait. I
Yeah.
forgot you did say that. My apologies, Lise. I
Yes.
missed the
That's
Jersey
okay.
part. But
But Jersey.
I bet, I bet that, oh, I don't know. Go ahead.
Yeah. And okay, so here's another. I remember our dog found a crawl space under the house and a big unexplained bone.
An
Ugh.
unexplained what?
Bone. Like it pulled out
Bone?
a bone.
Gross.
I would have been so like, okay, police. It's going to the police. There was supposedly an old woman who lived there and died there. Lastly, there was a bird found outside that had been hurt. I wasn't allowed to bring it in the house, but my uncle did help me make a nest in a cardboard box. And I set it in a tree, and it set in a tree with the bird inside. When I came home from school and went to check on how the bird was doing, I found it had died and it was covered in ants. Ugh.
Aw.
I got in trouble as soon as I started crying about it. A week later, I woke in the middle of the night and heard a bird chirping outside my window, and it sounded like it was coming from the tree the bird had died in. But the
So it
bird
was a
chirping,
ghost bird?
yes. But the bird chirping continued, and I went back to bed, and suddenly the sound changed to a female voice repeatedly calling my name.
That's
Yeah.
creepy. Oh, crap. Sorry, that was Mabel.
Yeah.
She jumped
What?
up and grabbed my hand. Mabel
Uh
jumped up
oh.
and grabbed my hand right when you said that.
Oh, that's creepy.
Oh my
Maybe
gosh. She
maybe
is
she's
such a
getting
little
freaked out.
heifer. Oh my god, that
Well,
scared me so
maybe
bad.
well well, maybe she was listening and it scared her too. Okay.
Maybe she's just
So
a heifer.
thank you, Brian, for for sharing. Brian sent a picture of the home, so that will be
Yeah, I want to
posted. So you
see it.
actually get to see the
Definitely.
home.
I bet
So
Jersey is
yes,
full
that's
of
so
cool
good.
little
Oh,
haunts. So
yeah, especially being just, that part of the country, just a lot of old homes,
oh,
older
yes,
homes.
yes. Okay, so
So,
I'm planning to go to the East Coast next year. That's like
yes.
I mean, we're not going to Florida. I'm not wasting time with that nonsense. I know everybody goes, but I'm an outlier, so I've got to do something
Yes.
different. For me, and
Mhm.
my kids are going to hate every second of this,
Mhm.
but I'm going
Yes.
to the East Coast and I'm going to see all these little places. And I want to make it to New Jersey. I would love to be in that area. So there's just so
Yeah.
much history.
Be cool.
Yeah.
Yes. It's just, yeah, I can envision. You'll be able to envision it, guys. We'll post so you guys can see it. But yeah, spooky stories. Ugh.
Oh, I
Yeah,
know.
just
It's
lots of
like
spooky houses.
yeah, they really
Mhm.
delivered, like, with these
Yeah.
stories. The people in
Yes.
Camden are
Ugh.
gonna be like we do have some listeners in Camden.
Mhm.
They're gonna be like,
Yeah.
straining their neck trying to see out the car window at this house,
This
that
place.
we just talked about. They probably all
Yeah.
know which one it is, but yeah.
Probably.
Okay, so my
Okay.
turn.
So
All
you
right, so
have
this one. Oh,
yes.
go ahead.
Mhm.
Okay, so
Oh no,
this
it's your
one
turn.
okay. This one is from Michael, and it's not
Mhm.
our Michael. It's not our Michael,
Oh,
the O'Reilly's driver. It's a different Michael. So,
okay.
we got
Oh,
to get our
gotcha.
Michaels straight. So,
Okay.
all right. So, my family lives on land that has been owned by our family for around 160 years at this point. I
Wow.
know of 9 deaths that have occurred on this property, but there have probably been
Ooh.
more. We have always seen and heard strange things periodically. It's never bothered me or anyone else that has lived here, as far as I know. When my oldest son was about 3 years old, we were planning a Christmas gathering. My sister needed to drop some food off for me to take, so I told her to just bring it in the house and put it in the fridge. I went to take a shower, leaving my son in his bedroom with a baby gate across the door. Good dad. He's a good
Mhm.
dad. Yeah.
Yeah.
My husband would just let my kid just run wild. So, all right. So, when my sister got there, she put the food away in the fridge and walked back to check on the baby. And she approached his room. As she approached his room, she heard him talking to someone. Okay, now that's creepy. And I have thoughts about that,
Oh.
but we'll
Uh,
we'll get to that in a minute. He was
okay.
having a
Hey,
very
Amber, are
lively.
you oh, you're going in and out. I just wanted to make sure the recording. Okay.
Okay, yeah, hold on.
Are
You
are
s-
you there?
yeah, hold on. Let me see what's happening here.
Swifty. Okay.
All right. Can you hear me?
I wrote down the minutes. Yeah, I can hear you. It was just very in and out. And we already don't have pictures, so it's
It's still recording, so can you
okay. Uh yeah, it's just little
hold on?
hither skither.
Are we better? Lace?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, so
Better.
let's take it from the top with Michael's story.
Okay.
Okay, this next story is from Michael. Now, not our Michael, not the O'Reilly's driver Michael that has listened to us from the very beginning.
Okay.
This is a different Michael, still very cool Michael, but this is his story, and he sent us this story a few months ago. All right.
Okay.
My family lives on land that has been owned by our family for around 160 years at this point. I know of 9
Mm.
deaths that have occurred on this property, but there have probably been more. We have always seen and heard strange things periodically. It's never bothered me or anyone else that has lived here, as far as I know. But when my oldest son was about 3 years old, we were planning a Christmas gathering. My sister needed to drop some food off for me to take, so I told her to just bring it to the house and put it in the fridge. I went to take a shower, leaving my son in his bedroom with a baby gate across the door. When my
Mm.
sister got there, she put the food away in the fridge and walked back to check on the baby. As she approached his room, she heard him talking to someone. Okay, I want to go back to that because I have
Oh.
thoughts about that whole concept. Okay, so
Mm.
he
Yeah.
was having a very lively argument and saying over and over again things like, "No, Roy Lee, we don't play like that." And "No, Roy Lee, you
Mm.
can't be up there." My sister assumed
Wow.
that yeah. My sister assumed that he just had an active imagination, assuring him that his daddy would be out in just a few minutes, and went on to finish getting things ready for the family gathering. When we arrived at our dinner, I sat down next to my sister and across the table from my mother. My sister turned to me and told me that my son has a very active imagination, and that when she had been at my house, he was arguing with his imaginary friend. I said, "I have never heard him talk to an imaginary friend before." He had always been very lively when he played and made his toys talk to each other, but I had never seen him talk to someone that wasn't there. My sister said that this was definitely an imaginary friend, and he was talking to it without any toys in his hand, and even calling it by name, Roy Lee.
Mm.
Across the table across the table, my mother's face went white. Oh, no. Whew.
Oh.
When I saw this, I asked what was wrong. She told us that my great grandmother had a few kids that died before they were 4 or 5 years old. One
Oh,
of
man.
them being a little boy named Rory Lee. The
Oh.
house that they lived in had been torn down years before, and the position that my house was in had my son's bedroom right over the area of the room where Rory Lee would have passed away. I
Oh.
always kept an ear out after that, but never heard my son mention the name again. Yep,
My
that's
goodness.
a creeper right there. That's a creeper story.
Uh,
I mean, I've got like hairs standing on
like,
my arms.
yes, like the back, like hairs on the back of my head. Like, you know how you
Yes.
just feel them? Like,
Yes.
oh,
That was a lot. That was a
oh
lot
my
of
goodness,
emotional trauma
Michael.
for a very short period of time. Wow.
Oh,
That was a lot.
thanks. I love it, but I hate
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I know, I know.
Oh,
That was a real one right there. Whew,
yeah.
okay.
Ugh.
Alright, so what's the last one?
Okay. Okay, so I do have one more and then just a little tidbit thing from Jenny. But
Okay.
this is from Adam R. So this is a short one. Adam R is one of our Instagram people. So both of these stories, one was from Facebook and two were from Instagram. So Adam R says, "Well, this story is from like the early 2000s. So some friends of his took a friend of theirs from out of town on a tour of creepy locations around the area. They went to the cemetery in West Point, a couple other spots, and then that night they went down to Morris School Road. So this is in our county. So yes. And I haven't been
Wow.
to the
Oh,
the
yeah,
cemetery out in West Point. I wanna
I
go.
have. Yeah, I have.
Okay, I wanna do that. So, they came off of Highway 36 and passed the spot where the old school stood, then went on down a ways before turning around and going back by, but from the other direction. So this was a summer night in White County, and so it was very humid and warm. It was a little after 11 p.m., and just about when they got to the curve in the road that would have them back at the school, they hit a random fog bank. They said the
Just a
car
random
st-
fog bank?
random
Like a
fog bank,
Stephen
yes.
King novel? Like a random fog bank. Okay.
Yes, and they said their car started to rock violently while they were driving, and it sounded like things were hitting the car as they drove through
Really?
this fog. Yes, as soon as they exited the fog, a light pole shone through the window just right, and there were handprints, child sized handprints all over every window.
Oh,
they
wow.
t- yes, they told
Wow.
Are you yeah. Oh, yeah. They told me this story and I wanted to call BS until they took me to the car. I saw the handprints for myself, even took glass cleaner and a rag and washed the windows. They wouldn't come off.
No. Well, that's just like a kid's handprint. I mean, that's how I
Sticky
live my
little
life,
fingers.
trying to wash handprints off my paint, off my
Oh,
windows. Anyway, go ahead.
yeah, that's it. So, yeah.
Wow.
I know, I know. It's like, okay. So we're gonna have to. So we did our Morris School for boys. Check that out, and there's a history out there, so that's very interesting. And remember, we're gonna, do the another roll off episode about the Armstrong Spring. So
I
there's a
like that. Are
lot
you
of
gonna start calling them roll-off
history.
episodes?
Yes.
Roll-off episodes.
Do you
I
like
was
that?
calling them sister episodes, but I like roll-off better.
Roll yeah, we're gonna roll it off of that. Okay. So I did have just a little tidbit, like I said, from this was from Jenny on the Instagram. So let me find this. So she had reached out. It wasn't like a story, but it was very interesting. So she reached out just the other day. She said, "Hey guys, I'm listening out of order." I would totally be listening out of order too,
Yeah, I
because
do
that's
that
what I do.
too. I mean,
I
there's
don't.
50 of them. Come on. I'm
There's
gonna listen to the
yeah.
ones I like first.
I know so many people say to us like, "Oh, I'm going in order," but I probably wouldn't. So she says, "I'm going out of order and just listen to the Al Capone episode. My husband grew up in Malvern, so he hung out in Hot Springs a lot. And when he was younger, him and two friends actually walked one of the tunnels. So we talked about those tunnels, and he said it was very spooky, and there were like different tunnels off to the sides. At one point, they were in water up to their chest."
Oh,
Like,
wow.
ugh, there's no way I would do that. He also said two of their flashlights died, and this cracked me up. He said one guy started yelling, "Just leave me here, just
Just
leave
like
me."
that would be me. That
I'd be like,
would
"Just leave me,
that would be
save
me.
yourself."
Just save yourself. Oh
That's
my
so
gosh.
funny. So she said they eventually made it out though, but were all the way across town. So I want to say the opening is like past the Arlington and like you're going to the alligator farm.
Yeah.
When I heard you reading the comment from the guy who said they didn't exist, I had to message y'all. she said, she
That
said,
was a
love
very heated debate on the
that was
Unexplained Arkansas page.
that certainly was. That is hilarious. There was yeah, I mean they're obviously there. Love you guys. Keep up the awesome work. And then she did come back and say, like I responded and she's if we could, discuss this. And then she said, he said there were it came back, he said there were four of them and not three of them. And it was so humid down there. He tried to take pictures but couldn't because of the humidity. The tunnels off to the side had staircases going up.
Oh wow. Yep,
And she
this
said,
sounds like a job for Unexplained Arkansas. We need to
it,
find out if those tunnels are real.
well, yes, they're definitely real. And I mean, allegedly, if we were to go into them, we'd probably be trespassing. Because I think I'm sure, like I've watched some YouTube videos, and I think you can access them at what is now the Mob Museum.
Oh,
So you
okay.
can
Well,
access.
who do we have to call to get in there?
someone, yeah, anyone that has connections, like, get us into the tunnels in Hot Springs. Please, please, pretty please. Oh, she did say one of the guys had a pistol. Fun
Oh,
times.
nice.
This was hilarious. I really like the guy that was like, "Leave me, just leave me." And who said guys aren't dramatic? So
That definitely would
anywho,
be me. I think I've said that before.
I know you have. I'd be like, just save yourselves. I'd be like,
Yeah.
come get me.
Okay,
Don't leave me. So
so
yeah, so
we'll
those are no. Oh, you got what? Amber?
go ahead. I was just, leading
Leading
the
into the
show
segue. Okay.
to the nice little end with a
Ending.
bow tie, but you go
Okay.
ahead and just send us all kinds of crazy ways.
Okay. So so the surprise. So do you want me to get into the surprise?
I was about to
To
like
segue into the
announce
surprise?
you to announce.
Okay.
I was about to say, "Hey, Lisa's got a surprise." But
Okay,
then
you
you're
go
like,
for
"Oh,
it.
wait, wait,
Well,
wait."
I didn't know if you would forget.
No, I have it all written down right
Okay, good.
here.
Well, I do too, but I didn't know you did. Okay, so you segue me in.
It's too
Ta-da!
late.
Oh,
Go.
okay.
That's your segue.
Ta-da!
Go.
That's my segue. Okay, so thank you guys. This has been listener questions and stories in a fabulous 50 episode and a thank you montage at the beginning. So do you want to do like a roll? Do you have like a drum? You know those drum rolls? Can you
Just
do that
go.
with your mouth?
No. Just tell them. Just tell them.
I'm so excited. So I am just thrilled to announce we will be doing a live show. We will do our first live show at our historic Rialto in downtown Searcy. I just
Yes.
am so excited. And it will be in February. We will sell tickets in advance. And as always, our Patreon will get first come, first serve on tickets and such. But yeah, we will be selling tickets in February. It's going to be on a Saturday night, and we will get you all the details as soon as we can like book it. The only thing that we're waiting for is I am a dance mom, and so I have to figure out the dance mom schedule. So, but yay, first live show is
Yep.
coming, and we want you all to come and participate, and it'll be one of our shows. It'll be live and it'll be interactive, but we will be recording it for the podcast. So it will be epic and historic and lots of fun and surprises. And we also have
Wow. I
something
mean,
else.
you're not giving us any room to be any less than wow. Okay.
Amazing. Okay.
Amazing. Okay. So yeah. So
So yay.
what she said. So
Yes. And one more surprise. So we are taking 2 weeks off.
yes.
As we said,
Yay.
yeah,
I'm kidding.
2 weeks off. We're gonna totally be working on just getting our recording a little bit,
I'm gonna rest.
Amber's gonna rest. I'm gonna work
No,
on
I
the
really
recording.
no, honestly, okay, so let me tell you what I was doing.
Mhm.
Like I was listening to you, but also I was
Sure.
texting Sean to make
Oh,
sure we could
yes.
use that Camden story.
Oh, yes.
And I said, "Oh, by the way, I need some help with,
Oh, by the way.
our
Uh-huh.
sound and all that." So we're
Yes.
supposed to meet up I think next weekend and try to
Yes.
get this sound straightened out. So yes, that is happening. But
Yes.
technically we are on a 2-week break. We will still be posting on social media and we will
Yes.
still be doing what we're obligated to do on Patreon and then some because we love our Patreon people. They're
We
so
love
amazing.
Patreon.
Yes,
Yes.
they
And
they're the best. Our little book club, all that. We're probably still gonna have book club, but or whatever. We're doing true crime. We're
we're doing
doing
true
true
crime talk.
yeah,
Yeah.
we've kind of changed book club to true crime discussion night.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yes.
So we are still going to do
For
that.
August.
And
Yes.
then after that, we'll change it to Dungeons and Dragons night.
Oh god.
We'll keep changing it
No,
up.
we're not.
Okay. So
Maybe
I
Harry
wouldn't
Potter.
mind. I love
No.
Dungeons and Dragons. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So
But
that's that.
no, but
Yes, Lise, what?
there's still more, Amber.
I am getting to the next part. Oh my
Okay.
God. Okay. All right. So now Lisa is going to talk to us a little bit about another surprise. We've got a big giveaway and I have no idea what it is. So I'm going to let you tell them.
Okay, since we are taking 2 weeks off, so we're leaving you with, of course, the fun thought of the first live show, but we are going to do a giveaway. So, like Amber said, we're doing a giveaway. It's going to be, we're going to, like, if you win, you get a t shirt. We're going to run it for the 2 weeks, but you get one of our Unexplained Arkansas t shirts and our decal. So, a combo. So, Unexplained Arkansas merch is the item that you'll win, and all of the details will be posted, like how to enter into the giveaway and all that good stuff, and when it starts and ends. So yay. So we have, even though you won't hear from us in respects to a podcast, you will have fun stuff in the giveaway, and we'll be posting all of our events that we have coming up till the end of the year, because we have several. So
Yes.
yay! I'm so excited. I'm so excited, and I just can't hide it. Yeah, and I'm good.
Okay.
I'm done.
Okay. All right.
Did
All
you
right.
like that?
Yes.
No, you didn't.
Okay. So, anything else you want to add before we get to
No,
our
I'm just
final big surprise?
okay. Final big surprise. You go for it. And we
Okay.
love it.
So finally, we want to share one of my favorite things that's happened yet on this podcast. We actually had somebody compose a song. Arkansas songwriter Jeff Brinkley actually wrote and produced a song for us called Unexplained Arkansas. I know I have a musician for a son, so I know this is not
Mhm.
an easy thing to do. So I'm very grateful for this song. This is one of the best gifts you can get. We will
Yeah.
have this song available on YouTube and a little music video thing with it. So just stay tuned for that. But to play us out on our 50th episode, we wanted to do it with this fan written song. So here you are.
Yay.
So bye, guys.
Thank
Have a great
you.
couple of weeks. We'll see you in September.
Woo. Love ya.
Arkansas.